Right, I want to talk about this because this is really exciting for me. I know it's not going to be exciting for anybody else, but it's exciting for me. I want to give credit to this video by Katie Gil Durthalem, who always posts really cool videos about all of the things that she finds when she dives into the files for games. She found something in the data files that confirms, you know, the symbols. Each Evanuris has a different symbol, and we've been trying to figure out which symbol is for which Evanuris now for years. And Katie thinks that she has found the answer, which is why I asked Katie if I could use this video, because she talks about finding the answer in the data mines in this video. Now, I have so much that I want to say about the answer to the Evanuris because I disagree with most of them, and I will explain why I disagree with most of them, but Katie thinks that she has found it. I'll let Katie explain how she found the answer in her own words. And again, a huge thank you to Katie Gil Durthalen for letting me reference this video. Please go and watch the full video and give Katie the views that she deserves, because obviously she did this, she put the work in, this is her discovery, and I'm just using it as a reference and a talking point. But obviously go to her channel and watch it. I'll link it in the description box down below. But here's what Katie says about finding the answers to the symbols.
I'm probably playing Veilguard by now and might have been looking for signs or codex entries by the Evanuris altars. Alas, to my knowledge, I'm not sure if you can actually figure out who is who by in-game context alone. I could be wrong, maybe I missed it. We're still diving into a lot of the finer details of the game. But I said earlier, we knew the identities. So how do we know? Well, because I found it while data mining completely by accident.
She found the files with the symbols and the corresponding gods' names whilst data mining through Veilguard, which is mental to me. So, which symbol is which god? Let's find out.
Yeah, you see, I was looking for this texture that appears in the Dreadwolf statues when you activate them, and found out that the statues are named with which gods they are in the files. So, Sun turns out...
These are the symbols here. I'm just going to take the closed captions off for a second so that we can see the bottom ones. But I'll put them back on in a second. So, these are the ones that have been confirmed. We know that this one is Elganan. We know that this one is Gillinane because we see them in the games. And then we know that this one is Andruil over here, the one that kind of looks like, I don't know, like the U shape. But then we've also got this one here that kind of looks like a two-prong something. We've got this one that turns out to have more behind it. It's not just a stick. It's like a stick with like a kind of like a bit that comes out at the back. But obviously you don't see it because we're seeing the front view of it here. We've got this weird one here that appears in other versions of the games. And then we've got one that looks like the sun on the horizon. So, I could tell you which one I thought was which, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Katie give you the answers, and then I'm going to tell you why I think they're the wrong choices. Now, again, remember that these are the files that Katie has found whilst data mining. So I have to accept that these are the corresponding gods to these symbols, but I still think they're wrong.
That'd be Falandin. Line, who we now know is actually more of a Mohawk, is Durthaman. Nib is Selays, and Triad is Junei. Now,
I hate that. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. This one here. Now, I noticed that Mythal and Solus are not included because obviously Mythal isn't in the Fade and Solus isn't in the Fade. These are all the symbols that are connected to the life force that is keeping the veil up and keeping the Fade back. So obviously Solus and Mythal do not feature because they're not trapped in the Fade. It's just these guys that are. Which is unfortunate, because to me, the crescent moon should be Mythal, because Mythal is the mother and was born from the sea, which is governed by the moon. In her lore, she literally creates the moon. And the moon and the sun are like the leader heads of like the pantheon, and Elgar'nan should be the fucking sun. I don't understand why the rising and setting sun, it's literally part of his lore. The sun rises and sets because of Elgar'nan fighting with his dad, who is the literal sun in the sky. He is the literal son of the sun. So the fact that Elgar'nan isn't the sun and Mythal isn't the crescent moon baffles me. A lot of people thought that this was actually supposed to be an arrow, like a bow. So it was supposed to be Andruil, and this was her bow. But now we know that the crescent shape is Gillename. There's also a picture in one of the art books of this massive serpent lady with the crescent head. It's in one of the art books that we now know to be Gillenane. So, but this one fucks me up a lot. Elgar'nan being this one, I get it. It's supposed to be the eclipse, I think. The eclipsed sun. I get it. But why isn't he the actual literal sun? And why is that Falon Din? I don't get that it's Falon Din. I could maybe see that being Soleil's, maybe. But I feel like, see how this one over here, the has this area in here looks like this could slot into it. Do you see what I mean? Like you could take this and slot it in there. I feel like that should be Durthamen, that should be Falon Din. Or this one where it's kind of like convex and this one's like concave. They're like mirrors of each other. So like that one could be Falon Din, that one could be Durthamen. But I feel like the twins should be more referenced to each other, and I don't understand why Durthamen is just that and then Falon Din is the sun. I don't get it. I don't get it. This one I think should have been Gillenane, and I have reasons for it. But there's like a bit later on in the video where Katie talks more about the codex entries.
The codex entry. So, okay, the head associations I data mined might be incorrect. However, at the start of the video, I kind of presented it like they are. And that's because I think they are. I just also want to give you the context that there is room for doubt. But why do I think they are correct? Well, because of a codex entry. In a letter by Bellara, she tries to connect the dots on which old god belongs to which elven god, and here she connects Janae with Erthamiel. If you look up at the lineup of heads, Janae stands out as the most awkward, in my opinion, because it's a throwback to Origins. Previously in our discussion of Origins...
This statue, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember where I'm pulling this information from, but I'm pretty sure that this statue, this design, was the original design for the archdemons before they became dragons. And I don't know if that's in an art book or if it was in an interview, I cannot remember. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I have this piece of information where I'm almost 100% certain that these were the original designs for the archdemons before the archdemons became dragons. Like an early concept. Like maybe this was just like a concept idea for what the archdemons were going to look like. But if you look at the design with like the two arms and the tentacles, it's what Gillenane became. It's literally what Gillenane became. The four arms and the tentacles at the bottom. Yeah, Gillenane doesn't have wings. But the headpiece is why I think this headpiece should have been Gillenane. Now, I can absolutely accept that she doesn't have that. Like, the concept changed and she got the crescent moon. And I really like the crescent moon design. I don't dislike her design in Veilguard. But I just feel like The crescent moon should have been reserved for Mythal, even though Mythal has that 1 point on her crown. So, like, if we're going by the shapes of their crowns, and Gillenane has the crescent moon crown, then Mythal's should be the single point, because where is it? It's like all the way over here. The Mythal should be that one, because Mythal just has that single 1 point on her crown. But I could totally see this one being Gillenane, because again, the design that was meant to be the archdemon actually ended up.
Previously in our discussion of origins, there are 2 strange statues you can find. One that is associated to Falandin, thanks to Tamlin, and another that really has no association to Ethemiel other than being in the room of the architect, who was his high priest, although he didn't really remember being one. Whatever. I always assume that while the bodies are different, the crown is close enough to perhaps be the same person, meaning that Falandin and Ethemiel are the same, or at least related. In my mind, this was Falandin in his early years who became corrupted to Ethemiel. That's how I was thinking about it. Apparently not. But with the Codex and this data mine, it seems that there are 2 different statues after all. But while Ethemiel's head looks quite the same from in-game, Falandin's does not.
Right?
So there are a few possibilities here. One is that these are depicting the same god, but Tamlin doesn't know shit. Which is plausible, given that he doesn't seem to remember too well to begin with. 2 is that they are different statues, but Falandin's is reworked while June's wasn't, so that it connect back to Dragon Age origins, despite Falandin's being the only one that was actually officially connected to the head shape and not Ethemiel's. This one doesn't make much sense, but it is plausible, I guess. Or 3, the data mine in the Codex is wrong, which, while possible, I do think is a bit silly. Now, there is still a lot to piece together about the game, and
it's interesting because, like, an awful lot of the information does line up and an awful lot of it doesn't. So it's strange, but there's something else that Katie pointed out, and it was these masks. Do you guys remember I found these masks in the game? Like, there's some on the floor in the crossroads.
The masks. In a twist of fate where I'm glad I stuck with the word head rather than switching to the more correct term mask, Veilguard has a series of collectible pantomime masks of the Evanuris as mementos. Now, it's hard to tell, but these masks actually are modeled in-game and even uses decorations in the crossroads in both the floor medallions and the spirit.
Yeah, we find these like in the floor of the crossroads. I pointed these out and I thought that they were really interesting, and I wondered what they meant, even though this one is very obviously the Dread Wolf. But I'll let Katie explain what she found.
And the spirit market. We have data mined the models to get a better look at them, and here is the model as like a whole set in one easy view, which I'm not sure where this asset is in game, because I would love for this to be a room decor item. I'd hang up the terrible gods in my room. Fuck it, I don't care.
Same.
Anyway, there are a couple of obvious ones like Fen'Harel, and I think this one here looks like a holoskull, so perhaps Gillenane.
Gillenane.
And if nothing else, these 2 matching ones are surely the twin souls of Falandin and Dirthaman, right? Except, for the large part, what I think the masks should be don't actually align with what pairs with the mementos. Here are apparently the correct labels.
I disagree. I can see this one being Andruil because I'm pretty sure her symbol is the hare. So you could argue that that's not a fox, that's meant to be like a rabbit. That one's obviously meant to be Solus. Falandin and Gillenane, why are they the mirrored ones? I completely agree with Katie that should be the twins. The only correlation that I can deduce that they would use Falandin and Gillenane is that they're opposites in the sense that Falandin deals with the dead and Gillenane deals with life and creation. That's the only correlation that I can pull from why they would have the mirror masks being Falandin and Gillenane, but it should be the twins. Surely. And then I don't know how I feel about having Elgar'nan's and Mythal's so different. I mean, maybe they aren't as close as we first think. June's is huge by comparison. You'd think that if this one was Elgar'nan, then that one would be Mythal. But Silays, I can make no sense of Silays whatsoever. Why is it a full... Why is it a full diamond whilst everybody else has like triangles? But it's just strange. I can kind of understand Mythols a little bit. But I don't know why. I don't know why. Why are these correct? These are the labels that were in the game. Katie data mined them and found the corresponding files for the images, but I just don't... There seems to be an awful lot of the correlation between the symbols and the gods that doesn't click in my brain. And maybe it's just me. Like, I will accept that these are potentially the right answers. I will accept that these are potentially the right answers. There is still a tiny little bit of doubt that it could be disproved at one point. I trust Katie with the data mining that she's been doing. And I just don't see it. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. These ones you could kind of say are open to being anyone. I don't like that Gillinane is the crescent moon. I don't like that Elgarnan isn't the sun. I feel like this one should be Gillinane, but if... No, this one should be... What was it? Falun Din? Because Katie said that the reference to the statues was that this was meant to be Falun Din and Euthemiel. Then surely the hat should be the same, but anyway, that's what we have found. And I say we, I did nothing. Katie did everything. So these are the correct symbols and the correct heads, but I just don't. I love how the fans can make things seem more sense, but the actual devs can't. Well, that's not fair, because at the end of the day, it is their IP, it's not my IP. And I have to accept that these are now the potentially correct gods for each symbol. I don't have to agree with it, but I would definitely have done it different. I would have made this one... I would have made that one... Oh, Gillinane. I would have made that one Elgarnan. If that's not a crescent moon, then it should be a bow. That one should be Andruil. I feel like that one that slots into that one should be Falun Din and Dirthamen. I feel like this one could be Silays. Oh, no. This one could be June. Or maybe that one, it kind of... I mean, you could argue that it's like a tool or an anvil. You could argue it. Or like a cup or something. Yeah, I feel like that one could be Silays and that one could be June. I feel like that makes more sense. But I understand that they were going a direction with the eclipse that it makes so little sense to me that the god of the sun has to wait for an eclipse, a solar eclipse, to do things. It seems backwards to me. He's the god of the sun. Now, obviously, he's not the god of the sun. He's just a big stinky mage. It's just lore that he is the god of the sun. So if we take all of that knowledge about the elven lore, the elven mythology out of our head, and then he's not the god of the sun anymore, then suddenly this kind of could make sense. If he didn't have the sun on his literal armor, he knows that he is the sun god. He knows. He has little sun motifs on his armor. Maybe he wanted the biggest symbol. Well, you could put that in there and you'll have the biggest symbol. Just make it slightly bigger. Just like crop it larger. Hey, you know why the official storyline is called canon? Because canon sinks ships. Anyway, I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts about this. Like, do you agree with the symbols and who they belong to? Do you agree with the masks and who they belong
actually
to?
align with what pair?
There they are. Do you agree with the mask shapes and who they belong to? And do you agree with all of the other bits and pieces? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and don't forget to go over to Katie's video and watch it in full to get all of the information from her directly. For me, I don't agree with the symbols or the masks. I feel like they're wrong, but at the same time I am also prepared to accept that it's not my choice and that I now have to learn all of these new bits of lore and new bits of information going forward. Although I don't think that we're going to get anything more about the elven gods, which is a shame, because I really would have liked more information about all of the gods, and even just to have seen them in flashbacks would have been really cool. We got 2, but it would have been nice to see. I really wanted to see Falon Din, maybe Silaise. We know nothing about June. I would love to have seen Andruil in her armor, like all of the red lyrium armor that she made from the void. I really would have liked to have seen they touched on Veilguard, they touched on Durthamen and Falon Din being fractured spirits. I would have loved to have met them all and seen Solas's interaction with them. I feel like that would have been really nice. But hey, here we are. It's nice to put stuff like this to bed, I guess. It's nice to have potential answers for it now after so long. Give us more information on the twin soul thing. Yeah, just a little bit. But hey, I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked this content, remember to like, comment and subscribe for more. Join our Discord. Check out our social links in the description box down below. Check out Katie's video, obviously. Gil Durthalen. I will link it in the description box. And a huge thank you again to Katie for letting me reference this video and talking about it, and for finding it in the data mine. Well done. I'm really excited to see how much more you find whilst you data mine. But yeah, for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lore video. Have a good one, guys. Check out my Veilguard playthrough. It will come up at the end of the video. And let me know all your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye. I need to rest my voice. Bye.